We're going to get started with our professional development team. This is our final meeting of the school year, and I've shared both the agenda with you, and I also have a hard copy of the agenda.
Sorry about that.
I have a hard copy of the agenda but I think most of you have been able to access it at this point. And I also shared with you the action plan that we developed late last fall that basically we fleshed out the school-wide action plan from the district action plan and the goal setting that was done at the district level. So we're going to be kind of toggling back between those two as we think about today's protocol, which is basically it's kind of a looking back and looking ahead, which is a protocol that doesn't officially have a name. I'm just calling it the look back, look ahead protocol. I kind of made that up. So the essential question, to what extent did we accomplish our professional development team and staff development goals? And then the outcome is to reflect on and refine our PDT work and school goals. So facilitator, I've been kind of taking that role this year. That will be a shared role for next year. But with us getting our feet wet, that was kind of part of my job this year, was to kind of get that going. Note taking, there aren't going to be a ton of notes because this is really, but if there's somebody that would like to type in, Tammy, do you mind?
I don't mind.
Just typing in when we do talk down in the columns, just make the notes. And then the timekeeper, we have to be done in like 20 minutes, so if we can watch the time, that would be good. Gail, do you mind doing that?
Nope.
Okay.
What time do you want to end?
3:10 would be a good place to
Okay.
wrap up. So part of what we did is we looked at that action plan and we developed the action plan based on the goals that were set. And one of them was to establish PLCs. So we had started that when the school year started as a general framework for understanding what PLCs are. And then once we started thinking more about where we wanted PLCs to go, that's when we really started looking at doing something a little more focused around, we ended up with a group book, which was choice words. So that basically took from January until April, by the time we read it first and had our discussions, and then planned the PLC time for the 6 weeks that we did the resource team / PLC. So what Sherry had done for me, what I asked Sherry to do was to get that survey together, which was in SurveyMonkey, so that we could get a sense. So what you have in front of you is the SurveyMonkey results. So there's a hard copy.
Do you mind if I have a hard copy, please?
I don't, actually,
Oh, that's okay, I can just look.
Okay.
No problem.
And I can look on
Thank you.
with Sherry. So there were 22, which I think was about right. I can't remember our exact numbers, but we had 22 respond to the survey. You'll notice the first question, to what extent do you agree that PLCs are important to school level professional development? If you look at the scale, we had 16 strongly agree, 5 somewhat agree, and then we had 1 strongly disagree. Which always makes me scratch my head, like, I'd love to know, but that's why they're anonymous, so. And that goes back to, you're not gonna please everyone all the time. So I think, for the most part, they found this helpful and beneficial, according to the question that they answered. They're important. Then I guess the next one is, to what extent do you agree that school level PLCs positively impacted your teaching and students? Again, you'll notice that we had, a couple of them were neutral, 1 somewhat disagree, but then we had the 8 and the 11 in somewhat agree and strongly agree. Question 3, to what extent do you agree that the PLC structure and protocols were necessary and beneficial in order to achieve the set goals and outcomes? Remember, we had a lot of conversation about that because we're all on professional development, whether it's curriculum teams or the TPEG work that's being done, or the curriculum steering committee work that's being done, and so we all are used to, at least at this table, we all are pretty well have adjusted to using protocols, roles, norms, all of that, and so we talked about rolling that at the building level so that everybody here had the same exposure to that, because not everybody here is on those teams. So we had a lot of conversation about that ourselves. So it looks like, for the most part, people reflected where we thought as far as it being beneficial. 11 strongly agreed, 9 somewhat agreed, and 2 somewhat disagree. So again, we could guess as to why they might have disagreed. We could guess anything new, especially if it was new for some people, they might not still really feel like it needs to be done that way. But I think the numbers indicate that we were on the right track for what our purpose was and what our goal was to get these established and kind of get. And I know at the beginning I had said my fear was, and it's not a fear in a bad way, it's just you already are doing weekly grade level meetings for the most part, and those look different because they probably should look different because you have more grade level needs and pressing, parent schedules, those things that you have to take care of as a grade level. But this was about bringing along the professional development piece. So the PLC, I think we agreed, needed to sound different, look different, be structured differently, and I think the results kind of fleshed out that was accepted, or at least agreed upon, that it kind of hit the mark. You'll notice this, the rest of the comments, Sherry said she had to copy and paste them because they didn't quite read out in the survey, so she went ahead and copy and pasted. So the first one was recommendations to changes to make the PLC process. So if you just want to take a minute and read down through, maybe highlight or note any that maybe can give us something to work with as we think about looking ahead ourselves. And then question 5 was recommendations for PLC topics that may benefit our staff. So again, if you just want to read through and pull out any of that, because when we do when we have our chance to discuss moving forward, can figure out how these might play into that.
Does it work? Does it work?
I think so.
Oh.
Actually, it doesn't. I can check it. And I'll just call it. Did you get this whole table? Just a quick look around so you can see that it's a group and I'm not just talking to myself. No, it's for me. My WePeg stuff. Okay, so as part of the protocol for today, we're just going to do a brief whip around and talk about in particular, not just, I guess you can also share how you thought they went. I think we did that at our last meeting, but more specifically from what we got from the staff, which is why we get feedback. We want to know what they liked, didn't like, and what are some suggestions moving forward. So can you just kind of give me something that stuck out to you, thinking about something that you think, according to question 4, changes, or if they thought things went well, and then the second thing is a topic or something that they had said they're interested in moving forward with for next year. Because that's the second part of today's goal is to how it went, what went well, and then what should we be looking for next year. Does anybody want to start, Shirley?
Well, I just believe the expectation was set strong in the beginning that we're doing this. This is something we do. I think Angela did a great job that, it wasn't something we could just brush off, that we were invested as a group. And felt like it maybe started out, people were thinking, oh, here's another thing, but by the time that we were done, I think everyone was in it.
Yeah.
So I thought that message was loud and clear, and everyone owned it.
Is there anything from the data that gives you ideas about moving forward? What would be something, whether it's another book, or did anything stand out that you think for moving forward?
From what people are saying, I saw classroom management listed under suggestions repeatedly. But I know that, I think in this group we've talked about brain development and stuff, and so that's a personal interest of mine too, so
Okay.
I don't know that if that was offered up as a choice, that maybe people would think that was something they'd wanna work on as well, but I did see classroom management listed off quite a bit.
Okay. Jen?
I think overall, we had really good discussions. What was interesting is that maybe it's just a difference of what I know from a perspective of not being in a wing, that was one of the most beneficial professional learning development that I've ever done, because it was mixed up. Because we always feel like we're the outsiders in a team that always works together. It's the way it is. It's not, and I don't think it's the fault of anybody when you have a team that you're working with and then you have a couple of extra people thrown in the mix. It feels like we're not part of that team, but when everybody's from different teams trying to work together, I think it makes an open environment, and especially on a topic that was broad, that we could all connect to. But then looking at the comments, it says there were several people that just saw that they would rather work as grade level teams. So just
Which is
two different
interesting,
sides
'cause
of the
they
coin.
already do. I get notes, and
Yeah.
from every grade level has a consistent weekly grade level team. I mean, so
Yep.
it's I saw that too.
So the benefit for us was that we didn't feel like we're outsiders.
Mhm.
I heard from all across the board, all of the specialists. They felt welcome. They felt like they could contribute and had ideas to contribute. So the format in that instance, from our perspective, felt very open.
And did you see suggestions going forward, like topics, or Sherry already spoke, she saw classroom management too. Was there anything else to add to that?
Yeah, I'm just seeing, I saw cross-content a couple of times. Projects, getting on the same page.
Yeah, that's on there a few times.
Good. Gail?
Somebody also mentioned maybe not a book, but maybe journal articles, something that.
I noticed that several of them said they liked the book format, which I think worked well for them. And although they did say, kind of along that line, Sherry, they did say keep it shorter.
Right.
And
Yes,
they, and
I
they
did
felt
see
like
that
this
too.
was a good choice. So I'm thinking, looking ahead, if we do another
Sounds
book,
like the
picking
kids.
something kind of similar, short but
Short,
sweet.
book short.
And one of the things that stood out to me was the classroom management again. And I looked at the grade level too. I kind of underlined it, and I was kind of curious, the ones who put that, what they were thinking. Were they thinking that it would be in place of the team times that they meet, or do they not have enough team time? I'm not sure what that would look like, but I personally like the format with the mix-up, having us specialists in with us too. Someone, and this stood out to me, someone said maybe we could have changed them every month, but I think you would have lost some of that, that gelling and that
The community.
community piece of it. But just think about that, if you do 3 sessions of it, you'd have different groups each session or whatever, so.
Anything?
No, I liked that we were in fairly small groups. Like our group was only 6 to 7 people, which was really nice. I liked having a person in the group that had read the book previously. I think that was a huge help as well, and that we shared the leadership. Nancy did more than I did as far as leading, which was wonderful. But I think that the length of the book was good for our group. It was nice to have a mix of people. And I saw differentiation listed a couple of times also. But overall, I think it was a good experience for our group. Everybody seemed to open up. We were math and science, and so there's a lot of things that we can do together, which would be wonderful. So that was kind of nice that we had that connection. So.
Tammy?
I noticed that the first thing that struck me was someone mentioned about we started to build relationships, and I thought that was really important. It goes along with the same feed as people feeling really getting comfortable in those smaller groups, because we don't get to see all the staff all of the time. So they felt like they were part of, as you were mentioning,
Once a month.
part of the community, right? And the other part was I noticed a lot of cross-curricular, and I wondered about the fact where they said meeting with their content, if their meetings right now are filled up with kind of those houseworking kind of things where they have to, you know, we gotta talk about this, 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 and this, and by the time they're done with all that, there isn't time for that instructional planning. So I wondered if that's maybe what they were getting at.
That's a good wondering, because, so maybe we'd need to ask more questions about grade level meetings that aren't housekeeping. What could
Right.
those look like, and if PLC time could be used to look at data
Right.
more specifically, or to set aside time to have a specific goal over a period of time that they would wanna work as, together as a grade level.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's good.
Okay, we have just about a minute left here. So
Okay, I think we're, yeah, and we're okay to go over a
You
little
don't
bit.
need to call it.
Unnecessary Zoom.
So I'll skip the what went well because everybody covered it. But my suggestion is maybe to offer a variety of PLCs and let people pick their choice of topic, and I think we might get more buy-in that way. Because I have a pretty good differentiation book, and maybe if someone, you know, if everybody had a good book on that topic, then they could help facilitate that offering. Or
That's a
maybe
good
ask
idea.
if they have any suggestions of other offerings of what they would want offered, I guess, for a PLC. And we can try to find the,
And if we
resources
start
for it.
sooner in the school year. now
Right,
that
if we could break up the year
Yeah.
and we
by,
could rotate, they
We
could
could,
pick 3 by the
absolutely.
end of the,
if we could break up the school year into thirds, like trimesters and,
you're still pointing that at me.
sorry.
Did you have anything, Deej?
No, that was
To
it.
Okay, so basically what I heard that we felt stuck out was that there was a strong message, the staff was invested, there was good discussions that happened, the mix was beneficial to make sure it was a true staff read, not just content area or, you know, specific content areas. Nobody felt like an outsider per se. It was a good contributing environment, everybody felt like they could contribute, and because it was a broad, you know, Choice Words is a broad book, and what it was covered, it didn't matter what you teach. If you teach children, this book applies to you. A good sense of community, relationship building, and shared leadership were all big benefits. And then it sounded like some of the topics that we pulled out were differentiation, cross-content, brain research, classroom management. Also, as a suggestion, is to ask them for suggestions, and then maybe offer a variety of PLCs that they could potentially choose which one they want to go to, and set it up that way. One thing as we finish, there is a second companion book to Choice Words. It's called Opening Minds. So this might be something that, again, we don't want to go overboard on one particular topic, but this might be something that either I can purchase or we get purchased for our group to read, potentially to start, and then maybe think about if we want to do this going forward, or we'll just offer this up as one of the suggestions potentially. Another one is the Literacy Coaches read one on classroom management. That I know Tammy had said that she didn't get a chance because you split, the Literacy Coaches split,
There were 2 different books.
but you thought that it was getting good feedback, and that's what I had heard too, which I didn't realize you didn't read that one, so.
What was the title of it, Tam?
I can't remember, I'm gonna ask Kelly Burns, we'll get that title.
Yep.
But they love it. The
Yeah.
group that is reading it is finding it very valuable, so.
Yep. I'm gonna put those highlights into our Google Classroom too. Tammy's taken notes as well, but I'm gonna put some of those in as kind of our big takeaways. from the survey itself, and also if we go back to the action plan, I think if we look at that established PLCs, it looks like that was something that we really got established, and I think Sherry hit it on the head. It's just here for the sake of being here. There's an expectation now that on Mondays, if you're not in a staff meeting, we're gonna be in a PLC. Going forward, those PLCs can now, the format can be similar, but then we can now plug in, are they gonna be having some choice in, what they're reading, are we doing articles, are we doing another whole group book? And then maybe even have some conversations about groupings. We chose the groups this year, and it might be that we decide we wanna let them just sign up for something, or it might be that we kinda look again at some remixing some people that never get to see each other or never get to spend any time together, because I do think we drew a lot of valuable information about people, not just what they taught, but who they are, and their experiences, and also, what they experienced then, that kind of contributed to who they are and, where they are now, both professionally and personally, so I agree, I think that was hugely beneficial. Any final thoughts?
Well, I was just checking because I think you can do this 6-week, 12-hour process more than once in a school year.
I believe you can do
like
3
three.
resources.
I was just checking to confirm that
Yeah.
before I said it out loud, but I mean, if we start early, I
If
mean,
you
we
go
could do
three,
3
yeah.
rounds of it, like if Nancy has something, then,
Yep.
and you know what I mean, like that.
And if we know we
could
can
work out
start
that
with
way.
it, we'll know, the second
Well,
Monday of the
yeah.
school year, it's PLC Monday, we could do another survey, we could roll out something that gets them right into it.
Yeah.
And then we can get, we've already got the
Yeah.
protocols, idea, the
Yeah, I mean,
agenda,
the legwork's
Yeah.
all
the
done,
format's
so,
all done,
right.
so it's just a matter of moving it forward. And also honoring what they mean by grade level meetings, cause that did
Yeah.
come up a couple of times.
Several places.
And so maybe part of the work is that we take a break from that, and then they do look at it more as a grade level laser focused time, that there's an outcome that's expected at the end,
Right.
whether that's more work with the data, or more work with struggling learners, refining the RTI process within your grade level, really looking at
That cross-curricular
Yeah.
piece.
the cross-curricular piece would be good too, so,
I think that would be amazing,
Yeah.
because there's so many things that we keep. I'll teach it, and then I find out that they're teaching it right after. So the
Just the
nouns and the
conversations.
verbs and
Well,
the
Jazz age.
jazz
I
age
just-
I do with fifth grade,
And
but
I did with
it's
eighth
perfect
grade.
connection with
In
eighth grade.
Just by chance I happened
But I
to-
don't have them in eighth grade, so, but there's resources that I don't care if I'm teaching it or not. I can come up and do like a
Right.
10-minute or,
Absolutely.
like, I'm dying
That
to do this
networking.
stuff. I have so many cool things. I have math videos and math resources.
And I'd love that. I would love
Yeah.
that. That'd be great.
I have a concern about the one that said they strongly disagreed, and I know it's only one, but it's just like it's so strong. I mean, it wasn't even like it was like in the middle.
Somewhat
Someone-
disagree, or
So someone's not happy with it at all, and I wonder if a survey in the fall could have a question, like, if you disagree, what is it about it? Was it the book, was it the format,
Yeah.
was it the
Explain.
pressure of having another meeting? I mean, but that really bothers me that there's one that strongly. If it just, like I said, if it just had been in the middle, it would have been like, okay, but.
Yeah. And I, honestly, when I saw that, my first thought was, you're not gonna ever get 100%.
No, you're not, but it's
I-
just that strongness, it just seemed like somebody, we really missed the boat on it.
And it's not like it, I can't remember, was it 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, or did it say the words?
It said strongly.
yeah, it
disagree.
said the
It said
words,
word,
so.
So it's
Yeah.
not like they clicked
No, like
one
that's
and
probably
thinking
the same.
that
And it's
was,
probably the same one that said somewhat, but just that it was
Yeah.
that adamant on that first one, that,
And maybe they weren't reading it. Maybe it was,
just click, click, click.
click,
Maybe
click,
it
click.
was Gene because he wasn't there.
I don't think you did it.
It could be though.
Maybe. Yeah, and I don't think we should discount anyone's responses.
No.
No.
It always does make me wonder if there's something else that's on somebody's agenda when they do that. So
Yeah.
at this point, it's not gonna go away, so we could probably just figure out again, maybe
Like what
have more
caused
to
it to
the
be.
survey.
Yeah.
If you disagree, what's something that you think could be changed to help
That's what I
you?
think too.
Just, so it's more than just that one and done question, so that might be a way. Good, any final thoughts? I know this was a unpaid, position, but it wasn't thankless, so hopefully you understood that. And if you're, I'm gonna do a little mini survey through Google Classroom myself to see if you're interested in rejoining for next year, and then what you would like to see from the group for next year,
It'd be nice if you could send us home with, over the summer.
with something,
With some
if
things.
we
Yeah.
decide to read, yeah. And that's a possibility, that's why I was trying to generate ideas around what might be, those two books in particular could be purchased to get the ball rolling, the
Yeah.
classroom one that we talked about, the management one, but.
And I'll get that title.
So, and I'm just curious, I don't know if it'd be a Survey Monkey, but I'll probably just do something in Google Classroom that we've had established from the beginning, that you just give me some responses around some things that you thought went well with this group. But because we're here to serve the greater staff, I just felt like the time spent today should be about that, and then that can be more something that we spend time on through Google Classroom, so.
And Angela did turn the binder in so that this table gets $400 and the participants get 3, so.
I like the classroom that we used. Kelly was instrumental in starting creating that
The
Google
Google Classroom,
for our
yeah.
group, and that just worked really well.
Yeah.
In reflection, I wish we would have,
did too.
we did it on Google Docs, but I wish we would have done a Google Classroom.
It was just
'Cause I
it was
think it
nice
would
to
have
be
been
able for
better.
people to be able to see the agendas and
Yeah.
see the notes afterwards,
Yeah.
and it was all in one place, so it's
Right,
worked well.
Yeah.
Kudos to Kelly.
yes. Anything else? Any last thoughts, anything? No. All right, thank you all very much.